Time remains.
21 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I'm rising to speak to this issue from a simple American citizen point of view. The American citizen wants the right to know what's in their food. They want to know how many calories. They want to know what the minerals are and what the vitamins are and what the ingredients are. It's a simple standard because it's so important to an individual what you're putting in your mouth, what you're putting on the table for your family and your children. Now, this is a principle that we have honored time and time again on our packages. We proceed to put in our package whether fish is farm-raised or wild-caught because citizens wanted to know it makes a difference to them. It's their choice. It's their judgment. We put on our packages whether juice is from concentrate or juice is fresh because citizens wanted to know. It's important to them. It's their right to know. We put the list of ingredients on the package in a simple format, not so that someone can spend an hour trying to research what's in it. No, we have a simple 1-second test. You pick up the food off the counter, you turn it over, you look at the list of ingredients, and you say, aha, this has the vitamin C I wanted. This has the calories I wanted. The 1-second test. Now, that's what's at stake right here, because the bill that's before us right now kills the 1-second test. It kills immediate access to information for consumers. It says we are going to eviscerate states' rights to respond to this desire of citizens to know what's in their food. Now, this is a desire that stretches all across the United States, all genders, all ages, all parties. In fact, 9 out of 10 Americans say they want this simple information on the package to meet this 1% test, just like calories. Now, here we are in this deeply divided nation, this nation in which we see in this presidential campaign extremes to the left and the right and everything in between, and we wonder, what's happening? Isn't there anything we can agree on? Well, it's the fascinating thing is, here's something we can agree on. 80+% in every category. 80+% Republicans, Democrats, Independents, almost all of them near the 9 out of 10 factor. Women over 80%, men over 80%, young over 80%, old over 80%. In other words, all of those are between 80 and 90% result, no matter who you are, where you are, what your gender is, how old you are. 9 out of 10 Americans, they want to know what is in their food, and they want it easily accessible on the package. Now, my colleague talked about direct access to information. In this case, direct access is, well, somewhat of a term subject to interpretation, because to the consumer, direct access is a 1-second test. I pick up the package, I flip it over, oh, 390 calories, thank you very much, done. But the term today is being used for indirect access. And let's look at these different Hall of Mirrors proposals that are being put forward. Okay, sham number 1, 800 number. There's an 800 number on the package. What is the purpose of that 800 number? The package doesn't say. There's 800 numbers on all kinds of packages. You call up the company and complain because there's contamination in your frozen peas. What is the purpose of it? Is it so you can call the company and ask about new products coming out? Without any information around it, it's just a number. And citizens don't just go to a product and call a number. Why? Because they're busy. They're going down the grocery store aisle. They have their supermarket cart. They have their child in there. They want the 1-second test. They don't want to be told they have to call a call center and get in a phone tree and press a bunch of buttons, and then a message comes on and says, well, I'm sorry, due to high call volume, we'll get to you maybe 20 minutes, but stay on the line and we'll play some sweet music for you. And maybe if you stay on long enough, and maybe it's not 20 minutes, maybe it's an hour, you get a call center overseas saying things in an accent that you can't understand. Citizens hate that, and they hate pretend false solutions. This is not direct access to information. This is direct. It's in my hand, 1 second, I see it. That's direct. Now, there's another idea. It's called a QR code, or a quick response code. Quick response, computer code. Why is this on the package? No explanation. Well, so is putting something with no explanation on a package helpful to consumers? No. Is it there so you can scan it when you check out to see what the price is? Is it there to find out about new products that are coming out from this company? Is it there because you might possibly find out information about discounts? You have no idea. There's no explanation. And when you use that code, you give up personal information. So you have to have a phone, you have to have a smartphone, you have to have a data plan, you have to give up your privacy, and there's no explanation why you would even bother to go to it. That is completely misleading. That's why I call it this house of mirrors. It's like you're at a circus. Oh, we have an 800 number. Oh, we have a QR code. No real information, no direct access to information. Let's be honest with the American public. 9 out of 10 Americans want this information presented in a simple format. A poll, nationwide poll that was done in November, then did a follow-up question. Would you prefer it to be simply stated on the package or have a QR code? Again, 9 out of 10 said direct statement on the package. Look how much room this takes up. Isn't it a lot simpler just to put a little symbol on there? That's all people want. They're not asking for anything that takes up room or costs anything. Just like it doesn't cost anything to put on your package and another ingredient if you add it to your ingredient list. Labels are changed all the time. You know, I met with industry and they said, here are our top 3 priorities. They said, priority number 1 is we want a single national standard. So we don't have conflicting state standards. Okay, that's understandable. Now, we are on the verge of having that. In July, we'd have 1 state with a standard. There's nothing on the horizon for 2 states. There's several states that have said if a whole bunch of states sign up, we'll do something collectively. But certainly we're not at risk in the months ahead of more than 1 state standard, so there's no emergency here. But I agree with the underlying principle that indeed, when it comes to labels, a warehouse shouldn't have to worry about whether it's shipping product to 1 subdivision of a state, another subdivision, or 1 state versus another state. That's fair enough. So 1 standard, that's a reasonable thing. Second thing they said, we don't want anything on the front of the package because that might imply there's something wrong with the food. Okay, fair enough, understand that. Third, they said, we don't want anything pejorative. Fair enough. Have the FDA select a symbol to put on the package. You know, we could solve this whole debate immediately for those who want to put on something like a QR code and just say, scan this code for GE ingredients in this product. Okay, now the consumer gets a 1-second test. They look at it. They see there's GE ingredients. That's probably all they want to know. They're probably not going to scan it. They don't want to give up their privacy. They don't have to go to a website written by the people who make the very product, which would probably be misleading anyway. So fair enough. Now, there's a third idea that's been put forward, a third thing that's supposed to count as answering customer inquiries, and that's in this bill, to put information on social media. Okay, so now this really adds, this triples the size of the house of mirrors, because you go and you look at the product and you go, oh, did it have a QR code? No. Did it have an 800 number? No. Oh, there's this social media thing. Well, we all know that there's over 100 companies doing different types of social media. We know the famous ones. We know Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. So where on their social media did this company put that information? Well, now you've really got to be a detective. You could spend hundreds of hours trying to figure out the answer to that. So the 800 number is phony, the QR code is a scam, and this whole social media thing is a sham. And all citizens want, all they want is for us to be honest with them about ingredients. That's all they're asking for. It's not very much. Scientific studies point to the benefits of some genetic engineering, and they point to problems that have risen from some genetic engineering. It should be up to the citizen. The citizen has the right to know. So in this age, when we're so divided, we have one thing in common, and that is 90% of our citizens, whether in the presiding officer's state or in any of the senators represented in this distinguished hall, 90% of the citizens want a simple indication on the package. So why today are so many senators coming to this floor saying they don't care about what their citizens feel? They don't care about their citizens' rights, and they don't care about states' rights. You know, I've heard so many colleagues who are planning to vote for this sham and scam today come to this floor and talk about the beauty of states as a laboratory for ideas. Well, now here's Vermont. Vermont has said, we'll step up. We will be the laboratory. We will be the first standard and experiment in putting simple information on the package. The rest of the nation gets the advantage, before we make any decision, to observe that state laboratory and to say, is it working? Is it not working? Are there problems being created? How could it be improved? Do we want this as a model for the nation, for a single standard, or do we see we absolutely don't want it as a model for the nation? Well, today we planned, many of my colleagues here plan to crush the state laboratory. Oh yeah, they've given fancy speeches about states' rights, but they're coming down today to vote to crush states' rights to respond to a fundamental concern of their citizens. Now, I must say, I like the idea of the state laboratory and to see what one state does, but I also understand the underlying concern that in short order there might be multiple states and conflicting standards, and that is not a functioning situation for interstate commerce. So if we take away the right for a state to give the 1-second test direct information, 1 second, turn over the package, 880 calories, that's the test. Turn over the package, G ingredients are present, thank you. That's the 1-second test. If we're going to crush the ability of a state to respond to a fundamental concern of their citizens, then we need to provide the same basic provision, not in a scary fashion, not in a fashion that takes up space on the package, not on the front of the package, one standard for the entire United States, but it's got to meet that test. That's all. It's a simple, fair exchange. So today, colleagues, I urge you to vote against cloture because this bill is among the worst bills I have seen ever on the floor of this Senate. Without good justification, without resolving the issue at hand, crushing states' rights, taking away citizens' right to know, and putting out 3 phony scam sham alternatives. That is a very, very sad state of affairs. And another sad state of affairs is that this bill is on this floor having not gone through committee. We've heard a lot of pontificating about good process in the Senate and how we were going to have good process, but here's a bill written entirely outside the halls of a committee, never considered in the committee. Here it is on the floor. Such an important issue would merit substantial debate. Such an important issue would merit a full and free amendment process. But 2 things happened immediately after this bill was introduced. The first is the majority leader immediately filed cloture, that is to close debate. So before one word, not one word had been said on this bill, because no one was able to speak between the bill being put on the floor and cloture. Oh, hey, I just filed the bill and I'm closing debate. That is not a fair and open process. And then the tree's filled. So no one can put an amendment forward. And that is not a situation on such an important issue. Furthermore, this was deftly timed to occur simultaneously with the 5 big primaries yesterday. So this is a moment when the American people are paying attention to Florida, they're paying attention to Illinois, they want to know how it happened in Missouri, they want to know what occurred in these 5 states. The press is all paying attention. That's the 1 day of debate allowed before this cloture motion is voted on. So let's take this bill and put it in committee, actually have a committee process to consider it, actually bring it back to the floor with whatever changes the committee makes. Hopefully the committee would honor the fundamental right to know by consumers. Bring the bill back to the floor. Have a full and open amendment process on something so important to citizens. But do not crush states' rights. Do not steal consumers' right to know and try to do it in the dark of night while the nation is distracted by major primaries. It's wrong on policy, it's wrong on process, and it's an injustice to every citizen in our nation. You know, here's the situation. The nation is very cynical about this body. This body here, they say, isn't responding to the concerns of the American citizens. Is there any single bill that has been more an example to justify that cynicism than this bill that is before us right now? When 9 out of 10 Americans say this is important to them, a majority of this body says we don't care. When 9 out of 10, or roughly that number, of Democrats and Republicans and independents all agree on something, this body says we don't care. Isn't the cynicism of the American citizens justified? You know, here's the thing. Our nation was founded on a simple principle. That principle embodied by 3 beautiful words at the start of our Constitution: we the people. Well, we the people want simple information on the package. So if we are here to honor that principle, why is this bill before us? I ask you, why a bill that says the interests of a few titans in crushing a state laboratory is more important than the views of 90% of Americans? And when those Americans are asked, more than 7 out of 10 say this is very important to them. So this isn't one of those casual issues. Why is it so important? Because this is food they put in their mouths and on their table, and even if they have no concerns about the GE product itself, they feel they have a right to know. So let's return to the principles this nation was founded on. Let's quit feeding the cynicism of citizens across this nation, which see these powerful special interests doing the opposite of what citizens ask for. Let's be a chamber that honors our relationship with our constituents, not ones that tries to stomp out their rights. Let's not allow debate to close on this bill. Let's send it back to committee. Let's have a committee process. Let's have a floor debate in the future with full and free amendments on an issue so important to our states and so important to our citizens. Thank you, Mr. President.